So before I talk about changes, I guess, what I want to talk about is what my initial results or expectations of this thing were and what actually my opinion of this thing now. So I'm used to 1000, it's definitely down in power. I still think it's not bad. I mean, 45 mile an hour, I don't think it's that bad. It does pretty good. After 40, 45, it really slowly crawls up there. Still gains a little bit, but it's not going to be passing any 450s. Like, that's the biggest downfall I noticed on this thing was the power-wise in the field. I can't pass any sport quads or people in my class, obviously, with it. It's just underpowered there. But I knew that. I mean, obviously, it's a single cylinder going against the V-twins, and also it's a lot of weight compared to the 450 Yamahas, so I knew that. Suspension, unbelievable. So we have some changes. I've done a couple tweaks to this thing since riding it and changing it, but this is unbelievably the best riding utility quad I've ever ridden in my life. And I think it's a huge game changer. I would make a little bit more tweaks, and I think we can even make it better and better. I mean, you can look at that, the length, how much shaft we have there. I mean, this thing is lowered. So this thing is lowered from factory because did have it lowered from the shocks. I mean, this thing has huge travel. So, I mean, you can see that's all extended. Huge travel on this thing. Shock travel compared to the other one. I mean, huge travel compared to everything else. Very, very smooth. The rear end, I haven't hit anything that bucked and made me feel uncomfortable yet. The way that the feedback is on the steering, it's very good. Other thing I can say, sitting on this thing, my knees, I would be sore, I would have scraped up. This is a game changer. Nice and narrow. It's so narrow, easy to grip the quad. It feels great. Great. The suspension's great. The braking, I thought was a little weak. I added that fourth caliper. Now we're back to being real nice and strong. I'm sure it's fine for a utility person, but racing it, I definitely wanted that fourth caliper back there. Fuel-wise, that's fine. I don't have to stop for fuel. A couple of things I noticed. One of the big things I noticed is the engine now, I know I had this off in another video, sits, you can kind of see there, down at the frame rail or below it. So this motor is a couple inches lower than the G2 chassis. That's a huge difference for the center of gravity of this thing. It does not feel tippy like the other ones do. You can tell the center of gravity is so much lower. The only downfall suspension-wise, and I looked at the new 1000s, it looks like they have a front sway bar. I did change a couple things. I was getting some dive in the front end on this thing because it has so much travel, and keeping it plush and running it in the corners wide open. It does have some front end roll to it on the front. I can probably adjust that shocks a little bit. Again, I only have about 4 or so races, I think, on it or whatever. So don't have a ton of time on it. It's getting better. But I think adding a sway bar to the front will definitely help out the high-speed cornering. Working on this thing's a breeze. Easiest thing I've worked on maintenance-wise. Now the shock bolts, to get the upper shock bolts, a couple things are a little hard because they go through the box. I shouldn't say hard, different. But the oil changing and stuff I have a video on that, real easy. So handling, great. I can feel a little bit there. All the suspension points are in rubber bushings now instead of bearings or anything else. I think I can feel a little bit on the braking on the front end. It's not that it's bad, it's just different. Most of the time I think it's beneficial. All the other places, it adds as a little bit more shock absorber for you there. This thing's smooth, doesn't produce much heat. Now we'll see with the V-twins what happens, but I don't notice any heat riding this thing. It's comfortable. Like I said, I think I do ride a little bit higher. I think the bars are a little bit higher, so I do feel that a little bit in my shoulders that's a little bit taller than what my normal setup is. It's probably good to have your arms up like that. Usually they always say don't drop your elbows, keep them up. So we'll see. I haven't done anything to this really. I just changed the oil and things on it to get it ready to go back to race season because we had our break. But up to then, I think I cleaned the filter off once, and that's it. I haven't changed the oil until just recently. The belt, I've ran, multiple races. The clutching feels real good. It's not aggressive. It's just smooth and works. I thought it made good power on a dyno. I had a little video of that compared to an 850. But like I said, this chassis really works well and is a comfortable ride. For trail riding, I don't think you can get a better utility quad. It's really a lot better than the G2, which I think the G2 Plus, or whatever you want to call it, G2S, is better than the regular G2, and I think the G2 is better than the G1. This thing is just a huge difference. It's going so much above the G2 to the G2S, in my opinion. It's just way different and a lot better. It's that much more better than before. I really don't have any complaints. The gray, I noticed this on my Renegade too. It seems like it's brittle. So I mean, it has stitches from the local race was pretty tight. So cracked that pretty easy. The seat, I pulled the plastic piece off. I don't have an Outlander latch for this, or a billet Outlander latch like we do for the Renegades. We have an aluminum latch for them, so that's going to have to come out. Another thing, just look at the shifter. This thing is crazy. Look at this. If I can get it to start. What gear do you want it to be in? No humping, no moving. You can put it in whatever gear you want. Smooth shifting. Very smooth shifting machine. Very smooth shifting. So you don't have to worry. I mean, I know that's been the gripe of people for years. Really, that's the benefit. The width between the seat here, you can see how narrow that is. So that's really nice also. Starting wise, you can see I don't have a starting fast yet. So it's definitely a little bit slow to start. Like I said, I actually got a whole shot over a lot of other people, but the Nationals have been dead last. So we've been working on that. I think that's about it that I have. If anyone have any questions, but I'm just really impressed with how this suspension works on this thing. I can't say enough about it. How the center of gravity is, just how it works. It's really a nice riding machine.